have you all again. So we're going to talk about some things. And I want to thank Mr. Meyer for adding such excellent commentary to today's fabulous, Mr. Meyer. All righty. Now you see, I'm going to notice. I'm going to look at what you got on your feet today. We have some tennis shoes. Right here, right over there. We have some boots. Those are gorgeous pink boots. Very nice. We have some sandals. Yep, and we have some flip-flops. So there's all kinds of ways for us to walk through the world, isn't there? Right? Can we, well, we don't often see this, but have you ever come to church barefoot? Have you? Yes, no? What about you, Claudia? No? Well, you know, Scott just said, can we? Well, you know what? Really interesting is that probably we should all be barefooted here. You know why? Because long ago, they didn't have shoes, that's right. They had some sandals, but most people got to have sandals, something underneath so that the stones wouldn't hurt their feet. When Moses went up he went up the mountain, because he was being called up there by God. And when there was a burning bush, but it really wasn't burning, it looked like there was flames. God was speaking to Moses, and God said, take off your shoes, Moses, because this is a holy place. And he had to take off his shoes to go talk with God. So I don't know, maybe we should all be barefoot, deacons. I don't know, we'll have an annual meeting about that, okay? All right, now, but we can come to God in so many different ways. Boots, sandals, sneakers, flip-flops. We can come to God in so many different ways. Now tell me something. Have you ever been talking to somebody, Kim, I'll bet you this has happened to you. Have you ever been talking to somebody and you're really loving that type of discussion, and then all of a sudden somebody else tries to cut in and start talking? Yes. Is that sort of weird? Or is it like you go, what are you doing? Are you getting irritated?
It's weird.
I don't know. Sometimes it's weird. Do you ever get irritated if somebody breaks in your conversation, or is it okay? Sometimes there's no right answer. It might be. It's not okay. So you don't get it. Good. But you know, that's what happened today. These two guys, they were walking down the road, and all of a sudden, this guy comes up to him and starts sort of like getting real close to him, you know, getting weird, right? Molly just took her belt off and shoved me away. But that, you know, he wanted to be with them. And he started listening, and he started asking questions because they were very, very, very heated. They were like, oh, they couldn't stop talking. And they were talking about what had happened. Jesus had died. They had put his body into the tomb, right? So like a cave, and they put a rock in front of it, and they went to go visit the grave, the cave, and they found that the stone was rolled away, and the body was gone, and angels had said that Jesus was actually alive and was going to see them later. Wouldn't you start talking a huge amount about that, Brooke? Wouldn't that would be a big thing to talk about, I think, don't you? Absolutely. Whether you had boots on or not, it would be an unbelievable thing to talk about. And so they were talking, and they were so crazy about this discussion, Scott. They didn't even notice that it was Jesus standing next to them. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, of course. Brooke, do you have some special friends at school, at kindergarten? Yes, you do. I bet you go out when you're on the playground, you play with them every single day, right? Now tell me something, Brooke. If you were somewhere else, like, I don't know, down at the playground at town hall, and one of those friends from school came up, and they saw you there, would you recognize that person?
Yes.
Of course you would. Somehow, these people were so involved in their discussion they didn't recognize their best friend, Jesus. Crazy. Wow, unbelievable. Well, that's what happens sometimes. Or have you ever been watching a television show, Claudia? And all of a sudden your mind wanders, and all of a sudden you go, oh, what's going on in the TV show? Does that happen to you? No? Why does that happen to me? It doesn't.
We're older.
It does. It happens. Every once in a while, our minds get distracted, right? And so for these people, they were getting distracted, and they didn't even realize it was Jesus. And but you know what? It was getting dark. Now, do you think it's safe to be out on the road at night? Is it safe to be out there? Exactly, especially for kids. But at this time, they knew they needed to get somewhere because it was getting dark. And they got to this town that they were walking to, it was 7 miles. And they had someone waiting for them there who knew they were coming. And they decided to go to that person's house. And you know what? They didn't even recognize it was Jesus. They didn't know who the guy was. You know what they did? They said, hey, why don't you come stay with us at our friend's house? That was pretty nice. I think that was very brave. A stranger, they invited a stranger into somebody else's house. That was brave and it was nice, all in one. And not only did they do that, but they decided they were going to invite him to the meal that they were going to have. Brave, nice, and generous, all at once. Pretty cool. Now, tell me something. Look behind you. What's on that table there behind us? Food? What kind of food? You know? Bread. Good. What else is up there? You know what? Bread and what else? What's another? Juice. That's right. Bread and juice. It's the communion meal. That's the communion table. So they're sitting at the table with this stranger who they have been brave with and kind to and generous. And they've invited him to the meal, and what does he do? He picks up the bread, he breaks the bread, and as soon as he does it, they recognize who he is, because it's like communion. He had taught them communion, and as soon as he broke the bread, they recognized him. What happened? Were you listening? He disappeared. Yeah, he disappeared. They finally knew who Jesus was. He was alive again, and he disappeared. Well, that wasn't good, that was a pretty big day. But they had to tell their friends about it. So what did they do? They gobbled down some of the food, and they went back on the road again. And they ran back to Jerusalem to tell all their friends they had seen Jesus. So we're going to have this communion meal today. We're going to share that same meal that Jesus shared with other people. And I want you today, as you're taking that communion meal, you can take your shoes off. I'll be down here. You might be up there. It won't be so smelly then. Okay? You can take your shoes off, absolutely. But I want you to remember that when you see somebody else eating the bread, and when you see somebody drinking the juice, you never know. It might just be Jesus sitting next to you. What do you think of that? Always remember, be brave, be kind, and be generous, because you never know. It might be Jesus sitting next to you. And that would be a really nice thing to show Jesus in our lives, okay? Thank you for coming forward again today. So I know some of you are going to help serve the communion. Are you today good? Excellent, excellent. So when you serve, you never know. You might be handing your plate to Jesus. That would be nice. Well, thank you very much. All right, that's our lesson for today. And you can go back to your families now. God's blessings.